friends, and welcome to this week's edition of SCLC Today TV. We come to you on a Thursday evening, less than a week after the pain and poverty of Hurricane Ida. Today, of course, we went up the East Coast with floods in New York and New Jersey. Dr. Steele, welcome to, of course, to your own show. But Dr. Steele, I was asked to ask you by one of our writers, the SCLC magazine writers, what would Dr. Steele say about all that's going on with regard to all the hurt and pain from the storm? I said, well, I'll ask him. So I'm asking you. What's your thoughts, sir?
Well, it's just like the old saying, cliche, that when other folks catch a cold, black folks catch pneumonia. So you can imagine, we're talking about we're behind the eight ball economically, and all this is economics. When you come in destroying property and loss of lives, it's going to hurt economically. And it's a conspiracy not to prepare the black community. The Ninth Ward in New Orleans, it's no accident when Katrina came that the levees has not been properly taken care of. And some say it was intentionally destroyed to some degree from some officials that actually told me that. So it's always a conspiracy to help poor folks and people of color.
You mean to hurt poor folks, not help them?
Well, I said it's a conspiracy to hurt poor folks.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Not to help poor folks. It's all, we can't even get loans from the bank, man. And you got people who are in responsible position, people of color who even afraid to talk about this. They just as guilty as the system itself.
As a man who talks about the plight of black folks all the time, that's been your life. The pain and poverty you see out of New Orleans and all the way up the East Coast to New Jersey, that must trouble you.
Absolutely, but what you need to realize, climate control from the opposition, and who are they? You know as well as I do. I know individual in particular, but it is a systemic cause because they know if they destroy the African-American community, then that's less work for them to do systemically. And these hurricanes and tornadoes are going to come. You're going to have devastation. You're going to have the impact of Mother Nature. Nothing man can build that Mother Nature can't tear down. So Mother Nature going to do her job. And you need to be monitoring what's taking place. For an example, the experience with Hurricane Ida, 24 hours before it got to New Orleans, it was registered at 75 miles per hour in terms of the velocity of the wind. And it doubled within 24 hours just before it reached the land base. Why? Because the water there closer to New Orleans was warmer. It was warmer. And don't you know, with all the technology and the scientific enhancement and development that we have, people should have known this type of thing, should know that we need to better educate people on climate change. It's a reality, but they're making money. They made money off of slavery. So they don't give a doggone about the people of color, African American, being hurt, destroyed, and ultimately dead.
You talk about climate change, as we both read in the Washington Post today. People of color, 40% of people of color, black folks, are more likely to live in extreme heat. That's suffocating. It's traumatizing. Extreme heat as a result of climate change.
It's inhumane. It's inhumane. It's inhumane. And then you're talking some people who have the electricity and the technology to have air conditioning, this type of thing. But astronomically, they thinking about the first of the month. I'm thinking about it myself. When my wife or somebody in the family leave a light on, you ought to see me jumping up from my easy chair, my recliner, to go cut that light off. Because I'm thinking about the first of the month. And this is what's really bothering us. People have to make a decision to buy their medicine, their prescription, or pay the utility bill. both balancing the scale. Both, if you don't
right.
balance them correctly, Mr. Eaton, you
That's
will
right.
transition into the heavens, and hopefully that's where you'll be going, because that's where I'm going. I'm going to the Heavenly Father. Hopefully most folks will do the same thing by doing what's right. What's the answer? Just treat folks right. It's not hard to
Is
do.
there an answer? Is there an answer to climate change from where you sit, sir? Is there an answer? A better way to do things?
Yeah, it's an answer. You have to transition. You have to educate the people like we were educated in the Industrial Revolution. Now you got the climate change revolution. You understand what I'm saying? And we didn't have the foresight, nor was it needed because of lack of the technology and the information and the education during the Industrial Revolution. That was a greater impact for poor folks and black folks. I'm one of the ones every summer went to Detroit, worked that Chrysler engine plant on 8 Mile and Mile. Whole lot of Southerners went up. Whole lot of us went to the automotive factory. That's where the first black middle class evolved out of, was Detroit, Michigan, because of the automobile industry. Why do you think that we don't have all these 18-wheelers on the rails now? All of that transportation you see and all these accidents you see with the 18-wheelers, all of that business used to be on the railroad, on the rail train.
That's true.
The railroad freight train, we used to call it freight train. And the point being is that Henry Ford himself and the leaders in the automotive industry convinced Congress and others to change the laws and bring about the transferring of products on the interstate, the highways, and I think it's ludicrous. I think it's insanity. Why not keep it on the railroad and protect the lives of people? But you did it for the rich to get richer, and poor folks end up dying on the interstate.
Wow, that's interesting. I never thought about that. Really, that's interesting.
Just ask me the question, Mr. Eaton. I'll tell you.
Well, I know somebody will ask you a question who was caught in the hurricane in New Orleans. I bet your daughter said, "Daddy, I'm coming home," and she's there now, right?
She's here, Mr.
Yes,
she's here, and she and her family are both here. But, you know, they won't be going back for maybe 4 to 6 weeks, and we're just happy that they're here. And she looked at me this morning.
But it concerned you that she had to come. I'm sure it concerned you and your wife. She had to flee, had to go back home, right?
That's right. That's right. She mentioned today about the refrigerator, the spoiling of the food. She had to go buy some new clothes today and this. I said, baby, don't worry. You and your husband, the family, y'all are here and you're alive. And she said, "You're right, Daddy." I said, "You know, you can get some more clothes and some another automobile and that, but they don't know what kind of damage their property has had, even an automobile. They don't know because everybody, their neighbors, they are not there. And the governor telling everyone to stay away for the next 4, 5, 6 weeks. But thank God they are safe."
So Hurricane Ida is personal to you, not just as a political leader or a civil rights leader. It hit home too, right?
Absolutely. Not only Hurricane Ida, but Hurricane Michael, as we were just talking about.
Yeah.
Mr. E. You know, we were working.
I was going to ask you about that.
Yes, sir. Well, I'm sorry I got ahead of you. But Hurricane Michael, you know, we spent a large amount of our time in the last 2018. 2018, I think it was, we were down in Panama City. And now you and I just had a conversation with our good friend and board member, Jeremy Barnes, where they are trying to bring about shotgun houses in Panama City and sell them for over $200,000 to black folks, African Americans, folks who've been disenfranchised. It's all about making a profit off of poor people. And it's a shame, it's a disgrace, it's an embarrassment, and to think that America will be at that point of disrespect to the African American community.
And still, this is a question. We have these conversations related to poor folks, black folks every week. Do you think America is discussing some of the same issues we talk about?
I don't think they are, because healing begins with conversation. You know, even within our race, many people are afraid to talk about the real issues, man. And when I get to talking to some of my closest of friends, I said, well, you know, it's racism that's never been dealt with, and America never been healed. Excuse me, Charles, I got another call I got to take. Okay. So even within the African American community, we have hurt ourselves by not dealing with the real issues of pain, poverty, and hurt within America itself. And with our elected officials, they are in a system. They're afraid to talk about the real issues because they are in a system that if they don't collaborate with the other politicians that's on their side or out of the chamber, then they'll be ostracized. They'll be having opposition and someone putting you out of office. Who is more important in terms of the holistic approach of freedom? Is it one individual, two individuals, a group of individuals, or the masses of people? Thank you for asking. It's the people. The holistic approach of taking care of business for those who've been disenfranchised for so many years.
Talking about politics, switching the topic just a bit here, and people. The people of California are in a recall election against Governor Gavin Newsom, and his chief challenger is a black conservative, Larry Elder. Do you know him? Do you like him? What do you think of his chances?
I don't know him. I understand. I've heard his name and observed him over the years. I think he's a talk show host, pretty much. Conservative, right. Very conservative. Matter of fact, he's right. Former President 45 was a stout-hearted Republican, conservative, and I understand that he is on the rights of former President 45. On the right
More
side.
conservative?
More conservative. And a black man. But we had them doing all our struggles. We had them doing all our struggles.
Really?
Yes.
Really? I didn't know that, sir. People think that's the truth, though, huh? Even during Dr. King's era, there were people who
you
were
hit it on
conservative. Yeah.
You hit it on the head again, Maynard. During Dr. King, it was 50% of African Americans who did not support him. Matter of fact, it went deeper than that, but I won't even get into it. They did not like him. They didn't appreciate him coming to their communities. But now that he's made his transition, everybody loves him. They don't have to fool or worry with him no more to stir up nothing. As Congressman John Lewis said, stir up good trouble. That's all Dr. King was doing. But the masses of the people who love him today, even their descendants, they fought Dr. King.
I'm sure you want to give a shout out or your condolences or concern to somebody who was standing there next to Dr. King when he was assassinated, the Reverend Jesse Jackson, who's hospitalized along with his wife, Jacqueline, I believe. I'm sure you have something to say or concern about his health and well-being.
Absolutely. I talked to Jonathan last week briefly, but I was informed this morning through email as well as a text that Reverend Jackson is in rehab, but thank God, Mrs. Jacqueline Jackson, who's a good friend of my family and the family of SCLC, is no longer in ICU, but in a regular hospital room.
Great.
So just continuously praying for Reverend Jesse Jackson and his lovely wife, Mrs. Jackson, Jacqueline Jackson, who are two great individuals in their own right and personal friends of SCLC and my family.
Finally, I want to offer you my congratulations This is the 44th anniversary of your wedding to the beautiful wife of yours. Man, you're a lucky fella. You know that, don't you?
Oh, you melting now, Miss E, you melting now. I didn't know you knew that. I didn't know you knew that. But that's what
I'm a news guy. I'm a news guy.
You get
storyteller.
That's right. You get it all, and I appreciate that. You know, even though I didn't know you knew that, again, Congressman John Lewis say good trouble, but that's good news that you understand that tomorrow will be 44 years that my wife and I have been married, and to two beautiful young daughters, Lakeisha and Charla, and 4 grandchildren. And I just want to thank God for that union and for the fact that, as Reverend Dr. Bernard Lafayette say, God sent me an angel all the way from heaven, and I thank him for it.
Finally, I just want to say in that regard, SCLC is known for its presidents, Dr. Joseph Lowery and Evelyn Lowery and others. I could go on and on. But you and your wife represent that same class, style, commitment to justice that previous presidents and their partners, their wives, first ladies have done. I salute you both as president and first lady in the tradition of SCLC with Dr. King and his wife and others since then. Really, I salute you, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Eaton, and Godspeed to you and our producer, Mr. Rick Clear, and to the SCLC family and our chairman of the board, Dr. Bernard Lafayette. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been SCLC Today TV. We'll see you next week.